Hi everyone, and welcome to the Star Wars Reading Club movie review this time of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I'm here with my brother on this review.
How's it going, guys? And since I'm here, you know that we just saw a Star Wars movie because that's usually when you bring me in and we have a little fun discussion here, so I'm looking forward to it.
Exactly, yeah, I'm happy to have you here with this one. We saw it tonight, and it is 11 p.m. as we're recording this, so bear with me here, guys, but I think it is safe to say that we're still on our Episode 8 high, so let's just jump into it. I mean, what we'll do first is we're going to keep it pretty spoiler free. I'll put somewhere in the title or in the description and I'll give lots of warning when we will talk spoilers, but just as a bit of an atmosphere thing, this was probably my favorite Star Wars movie that I've seen so far, atmosphere-wise.
Yeah, and I would have to say so as well. And I think you mentioned to me just before this was actually starting, this was our 9th Star Wars movie that we were seeing in theaters.
This was our 9th.
Counting when they brought back the special editions from the prequels.
Exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, I have to agree. It was a lot of fun. Everyone was really excited.
I can't remember when we saw costumes before, and I chickened out. I wanted to go like Jedi robes or pull off a Thrawn if I could, but we saw Jango Fett, we saw Vader, we saw Luke, A New Hope Luke, so
a lot of Rays.
Yeah, that was fun to see. So just, I mean, I really wanted it to be an atmosphere experience. I know some people would always tell us that they would get like these circus atmospheres, almost like a concert. This was the closest that we've got. Everyone was multiple points cheering.
Yeah, and even before, people were kind of walking around taking pictures.
Yeah.
No one was really sitting as even the previews were kind of
going on. It was cool in that way.
Everyone was talking, having a good time.
That's what I wanted, and we definitely got it. So a great experience. I mean, you can probably tell I'm still like on cloud 9. Let's jump into it too. I'm just gonna put it out there. Let's stay spoiler free if we can right now, but this was not the movie that I expected in more ways than not, and I love it for that reason.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I had we talked about a few things.
Yeah, we had a long car ride home, so.
Yeah, and even going there were a few ideas that we were kind of throwing back and forth, and yeah, there was quite a bit of things that kind of caught us off guard, I'd say.
Well, the thing is too, is you know how it is. Like, we've been speculating for months now. And I think it was like with 5 minutes to go in the theater, I just kind of turned to you and was like, it would just be cool if this was completely a non-linear story in the sense like you can't predict what's coming next. And like a dozen things happen that I don't see coming. And this was it to a T. We'll get into some of the aspects that we're talking about, but I definitely enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it more than Episode 7?
It's funny you mentioned that because I just saw Episode 7 for the first time. I
made you watch it.
Yeah, I watched it for the first time after seeing it last year in theaters. I liked Episode 7 more than I remembered it when I saw it, but I don't know.
Same with me.
I don't know if this is just because I just saw this and like you said, we're on a little bit of a Episode 8 high, but to me, I did like it. I think it was a little bit better than I had hoped. And yeah, I'd say I did like it more than Episode 7.
I think, too, I would go right now, and it is hard to say, but I would probably put it ahead. One of the things that I was looking forward to the most was just seeing, like, I'm not as familiar with director Rian Johnson as a lot of people were. I thought that it was a bit of a blind spot for me going in, but the way that it was shot, it felt so different than Episode 7.
That's what I was just going to say when trying to answer that question. Comparing these two movies, it's kind of hard to compare them a little bit because they are so different, but yeah, there was a lot I liked about this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Should we go into, I mean, maybe it's going to be tough to keep it spoiler free at this point, but before we get into spoilers, I would say that the Luke stuff on Acto, not really so much that I expected. There was a lot of great surprises on Acto. Rey was probably, along the lines of, you could kind of see her story unfolding. The biggest, though, with Rey and Luke aside, of the major characters going in, I did not see the Snoke aspect coming at all. And I really, in a lot of ways, too, let's try to pinpoint Kylo down in a bit, but a lot of the stuff with Kylo Ren was really interesting as well. I had said to you on the way in, if there's one character that I'm going to be interested in seeing what they do with him the most, it's Kylo Ren. And I think that at the end of the movie, I think that we are at the point now where Kylo's like the most interesting character at this point.
And I think maybe coming from someone who doesn't read all of the books or might not be as big a Star Wars fan, obviously, as yourself or some of you guys who read a lot of the books and follow a lot of the lore and things like that, I think overall, at the end of the day, you're going to have a lot of fun watching this movie.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think it's going to attract a large and wide audience. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. So depending on what you thought or might happen going into it or some of the ideas that you guys thought might happen, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a fun movie for you guys. And I really enjoyed it. And just because everything didn't happen exactly what we might have thought or what we wanted to happen even, I think
it almost made it more fun.
Yeah, it made it a lot of fun.
Like it's something, this is the point too, is like, this is just going to be our early reaction coming right off of the film. I mean, the speculation and all of the different aspects from that respect will come in the future.
For sure. But I enjoyed it a lot and I thought it was really good.
Perfect. Well, maybe what we'll do is, at this point, we'll go spoilers. And so huge spoiler warning to everyone else. But the main takeaway is so much like surprises that I didn't see coming, and definitely enjoyed it. And we haven't looked at any reactions other than people in the theater with us. I think people generally in the theater were really happy with it by the end as well.
Yeah, everyone seemed like they were pretty much on a high. There's a lot of people I saw like talking about it on the way to their cars, seeing what was going to happen in the next movie. So.
Yeah, it was perfect.
I know, a really good movie, a lot of fun.
Let's go spoiler warning here at this point. We'll jump into it. Where do you want to start out of these two characters, Snoke or Luke?
I think we got to maybe start with Snoke.
That's probably a good idea.
Maybe should start with Luke, but I just have so much more to say about the Snoke aspect.
I can definitely see that. Luke is my favorite, and we'll get into Luke in just a bit, but I don't know if I saw anyone predict Snoke's death in episode 8. It's funny, too, because at one point, I had to like literally sit back and think that, did we time travel into 2019? Is this episode 10? Yeah. Excuse me, episode 9? Like we're getting our Snoke and Rey showdown. We've got Kylo in the throne room with all of them, and they're making this big decision. And then we get Snoke's death.
Yeah, I think if you would have said going into this movie that we would have saw Snoke severed in half and fall to the ground, I don't think I would have believed you.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have believed it.
I don't think anyone would have believed that.
Well, the thing is, too, is everyone, including myself, trying to pinpoint who Snoke is. Snoke is dead. Do we know who Snoke is?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Does it make it more interesting? Like, I want to know even more at this point what the whole deal is with Snoke.
Yeah, I think it does make it a little bit more interesting for me. I think the reason why I kind of wanted to talk about Snoke first is, sadly to say, it sort of cheapens him a little bit for me, especially coming off the first part of the trilogy, which I just rewatched. It kind of cheapens him just a little bit, and maybe I was a little bit disappointed with him. At the end of the day, it was an amazing scene. And it's something that really...
It was an incredible scene. But...
It's something that really stuck with us, obviously, because we were talking about it all the way home after the movie. But unfortunately, I think
I know what you mean, because this is what we talked about, too. It's like, in episode 7, it was Snoke drew Kylo Ren, like drew Ben Solo to the dark side to become Kylo Ren. Supreme Leader Snoke is wise. Supreme Leader Snoke is this and that. It built him up to be... For me, at least, I mean, a lot of people were trying to think through who he was, but on the level of a Palpatine, like, is a big bad that was going to really dominate the last 2 films of this trilogy.
Yeah, and with the title and everything, the Supreme Leader of the First Order.
And he was... It's so funny, because what did we get? 2 scenes with him in the throne room? You had the hologram again with Hux at the beginning.
Yep.
And the scenes that you had him in, I was really like, wow, that's the Snoke
thing.
Is really coming through. I'm really enjoying the Snoke character at this point.
It really seemed like, for me, a step up above Sidious.
Yeah, I could see that direction if you thought maybe
Like that's what I was thinking. It was almost like that next
based on the information we had, because we really didn't have too much information on Snoke, but you could see it maybe going in that direction for you.
Yeah, exactly. And just the way he was sort of dealing with Rey.
He did seem
almost
powerful.
Toying with her.
That was the thing too. Like he did seem, even the way he talked to Kylo, like indicating that he failed in a lot of ways. It was almost like belittling him in the throne room.
For sure, you could see the master apprentice relationship there quite clearly. So that's why it was very surprising for me.
Great point. Yeah, I'm glad that we talked with Snoke. This one's going to take a bit to unravel for me. I don't know what I think about it, but I think people might be a bit disappointed with it. I think that they might think that, well, and we talked about it a bit too. Where do they go from here? It's going to be basically Kylo, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren now at this point, carrying the episode 9. So I would have liked to see more Snoke. It's just almost surreal at this point that now let me ask you this too. Did you think he was going to come back, or did you think that it was a ruse when the lightsaber turned on? Did you think maybe he turned it on and had it in his hand ready to...
I didn't think he was going to come back, but I thought up until the point where I saw him fall over, I thought maybe he turned it and made it go behind him or something like that, or he blocked it, deflected it some way and saw it coming. That's what I thought. I didn't really think he was coming back so much, but I thought maybe he had anticipated it because he had been saying those lines of how he could foresee.
Yeah, he knew every intention.
He was in their heads and things like that.
It's almost too like the same. Everyone keeps underestimating these Skywalkers and their ability to kind of to turn on a dime. So I'm still blown away. I'm going to have to unravel.
There's so much that we could say about it.
There's a lot more we could say about it too. The thing is we could get into it in a bit. I do wonder. Let's talk about the First Order in a little bit later, but
yeah, maybe we should get to Luke.
Yeah, let's talk about Luke. Everyone knows, I say it all the time, I'm a huge Luke Skywalker fan. This version of Luke felt really not strange, but felt like a completely different Luke, which I have to give them a lot of credit. I should say too, I give the Rian Johnson and the filmmakers here a ton of credit for killing off Snoke, but to throw this version of Luke, I thought it was a fascinating version. We knew going in, I had mentioned it a number of times. I don't know if you watch every video on the channel, but just to throw it out there, I knew Luke was going to be at a very low point, but to have it start with him being handed the lightsaber from Rey and then him literally throwing it behind him, I thought it was perfect. The audience really loved that too.
Yeah, that was a great reaction and not something I was anticipating.
Me neither.
I don't think anyone was.
Yeah, that scene had been built up so much over 2 years as well. That's where you end with episode 7, and I don't know, like we got the low point. Do you think it paid off? I think I know what you're going to say, but do you think we got the redemption of Luke? It had to be, and I'll ask you this too to see if you thought the same thing. Did you find that there was a great redemption arc for Luke in this, just based on episode 8? And did you think that, in a lot of ways he did redeem himself?
I'd say yes.
I think so too.
I mean,
just because I'm a huge, not just because I'm a Luke fan, but...
My gut feeling is just to say yes. I was happy with how it kind of ended.
Yeah, see, here's why I asked that. I think the whole point of Luke Skywalker in this movie was to say you don't need to be a Jedi for the good guys to win. Mm-hmm. Like at the end of the trilogy, if you're gonna raise the hand of the light or the resistance, whoever that symbolizes, you don't need the Jedi title to go with it. I think that was the main struggle for Luke during this whole episode 8. I think the point was Rey went there expecting, well, I'm going to learn from the greatest Jedi Master of all time, and then I'm going to be a great Jedi Master. Yeah. And in a lot of ways, Luke, I thought that him pulling away from the Force completely was awesome. I love that. It explained a lot. For example, he didn't know Han died, so now we know why, because he had kind of taken away his connection to the Force. But all that aside, I completely love that aspect. Now, I was very heavily on what's going to happen with the Force. Is Luke going to come up with a new conceptualization on what the Force is, a more powerful conceptualization? None of that happened. The books that I thought potentially might have been connected to ancient religions other than the Jedi, maybe the Journal of the Wills, none of that happened. Those were ancient Jedi texts. But the key was they did move away from the Jedi teachings, and I think the whole point was to teach Rey, well, at least to have Rey get the idea that you don't need to be a Jedi. She already had whatever she needed inside of her to defeat the First Order and Kylo Ren.
Exactly. I agree 100% with what you just said. I think you said it pretty clearly, and I think that point is hammered when he sees Yoda. And I think Yoda really hammers that point home.
Yeah. But I think my reaction was palpable when Yoda shows up on screen. I had gone in, as much as I would have loved to see Anakin or Obi-Wan, Yoda was the one that I was really hoping for the most. I thought it made the most sense. I had thrown out that, I think a video, why Yoda's main goal will be to teach Luke Skywalker the dark side of the Force. If you alter that a little bit, his main thing was to teach Luke. It's funny how it was Yoda. I love that. There's going to be so much to talk about in that respect.
Yeah.
It makes 100%. It's like perfect. Makes perfect sense for why Yoda would show up and be the one to destroy the ancient texts.
Yeah.
I love it. Now that just sitting here thinking about it, it does make perfect sense because of everything we knew. If you want to throw in Force priestesses, but not to get too much into it here. But yeah, Yoda recognized it and Luke didn't this time around. There's almost a really good contrast. In a lot of ways, this felt like the third movie of a trilogy.
Yeah.
It's weird in that sense.
And I really like, too, how Yoda did it sort of in the Yoda, very simple.
Great point.
Summed it up. You know, he didn't have to go on and on about it. He just, just like he always does.
He called him young Skywalker.
Young Skywalker, right in front of your face, hits him.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. And he's just like, you just move on now.
You just go, you go forward. That was like a final lesson.
Yeah, so I really like that. And I agree with you. I think Yoda was sort of the perfect one to kind of come up there.
The Force Ghost Yoda was perfect in my sense. And the fact that it was episode 5 Yoda, Empire Strikes Back, a little
yeah, see, I didn't notice that.
Oh, no?
No, maybe I did, but you kind of clued in when you had just mentioned it previously.
The more what's a good word? Like more like almost stir crazy. Some people would think that he like legitimately lost his mind in between the trilogies, but I don't see that at all. I think he's a bit more philosophical in this sense. So I love that it was the episode 5 Yoda, the puppet, right? I mean, unless I don't think it was all CGI Yoda. Definitely not prequel era anyway, but
absolutely.
I loved every part of that scene.
I loved when they were watching the was it a tree or
that was kind of like an old
hut or something like that,
like an ancient tree of some sort.
Yeah, I loved the scene when they cut back and then it was burning and the two of them were just there.
Perfect.
That was a beautiful scene. I really liked that.
Yeah, and that almost harkens back to where like to the end scene with Force Ghost Yoda, but nonetheless, the Yoda scene, perfect in my opinion. Like I said too, there's a lot to dive into Yoda's appearances, but we'll save that for a bit. Let's talk about quickly just Luke's death.
Yeah.
Like did it take you a second? Did you know, like, okay, he's become one with the Force. He's gone Yoda.
Yeah, okay. I did. Just because it sort of reminded me when Obi-Wan, kind of like his robes were there after when he sort of vanished in the first movie or A New Hope. Sorry. So yeah, I did sort of kind of see that.
Let me ask you though, did you think it was better? If you remember, Yoda kind of just dies in episode 6 with Luke by his bedside, and then you get the robes there. Obi-Wan more in battle. Yeah. Vader strikes him down, and then the robes. Would you have rather him fall in battle like Obi-Wan did, or did you think it made more sense with him just sort of dying and going off? And
judging from the scene, I liked the way it was.
I didn't
think, because I think him sort of confronting Kylo the way he did, and then
was really interesting. Yeah, that we could talk about that for an hour if we wanted to.
And then that little kind of jab he gave him just at the end, and then I think seeing the two suns in the background and then sort of just fading away from there, I really like that. And I think I preferred the way sort of Yoda kind of went out.
I did too,
and rather than the Obi-Wan.
I think
you got a little bit of both, because he did sort of confront him in the battle, but it was just sort of like the not really there. It was almost like that meditation.
Yeah, so you did get a bit of combat.
Yeah.
Just maybe not him.
But I thought it was a sweet scene. It was kind of nice.
I loved it. I loved it because it represented exactly what Yoda told him. In a lot of ways, he became, like with starting a school and starting his own Jedi Order with Kylo and everyone else, it ended bad like it always does with the Jedi, and he brought that point up too. So that was where he really found, I think Rey and Leia had said it, he found peace and purpose.
Exactly.
And again, as I understand it, I was going pretty, I was like 3 feet above my seat during these scenes. I was loving this whole Luke bit. But the way that I see it, I think he's picturing the two sons, right?
Yeah,
and exactly. So he's gone back to that innocent Luke right from the beginning, didn't know Jedi, didn't know Sith, nothing about it. He finally found that purpose, which again is reflected in Rey. So Rey is almost like, you're going to take the torch from here on out. I'm no Jedi. I'm no Jedi Master. I'm just Luke. I found my peace.
Yep.
Let's let Rey have her story. Just like, because the story begins with the two sons, and here for Luke, it ends with the two sons again.
And what he tells Kylo, I won't be the last Jedi.
That's right.
Because Rey's there now.
That's right.
So his time was sort of done.
Exactly.
So I really liked that scene. I thought it played out good. I for some reason, something in me doesn't think that's the last we're gonna see.
Yeah, I wonder
trilogy.
About that.
I think
too.
Maybe we'll get a little bit of him.
I think he's done. I don't think he's gonna be in episode 9. It would be really interesting if he was, but that's probably...
I kind of hope he's done. I kind of hope they leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because he had that really nice moment with Leia.
Yeah.
And then I think with Kylo, that whole showdown was really good.
And with Rey, he had a bit too.
Yep.
I don't think at this point, I thought he was going to survive this episode into 9. At this point, it's funny though. He fulfilled what I needed Luke Skywalker to fulfill.
Yeah.
Luke's probably, if you push me hard enough, Vader and Luke are probably my 2 favorite characters in Star Wars. I'll throw Bane and Thrawn in there every now and again, but at the end of the day, Luke and Vader are the 2 up there. I loved everything about Luke. I think we can talk about the Force aspects in Luke later down the road with speculation, but let's move on maybe to Kylo Ren. Yeah. See, Luke and Snoke are going to take up the bulk of our discussions, but maybe we'll go through these ones a bit quicker and then get into some stuff that we liked and maybe some things we saw more of. Kylo,
yeah.
I knew he was going to be all over the place.
Not what I was really expecting, I guess. But
yeah, in a lot of ways, me neither. I thought he was going to... For Kylo, I was a bit worried that he was going to simply just be redeemed. Mm-hmm. He was going down that path, didn't kill Leia.
Yeah.
And by the way, if I don't get a chance to say this, I think Leia in a lot of ways stole the show for like the first 30 minutes. And it was great that Carrie Fisher absolutely crushed it.
Yeah.
The bombing run was cool in its sense, but the Leia aspects after that, I was like, okay, good. This is completely Star Wars. Carrie Fisher did a great job. In my opinion, not that I think she did a bad job in 7, but man, this was This is level. Original trilogy.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia acting. When R2 showed the little hologram of Leia, it was just oh God.
Yeah.
This is too much. This is Luke. Luke was saying okay, that wasn't fair. It was just I was thinking the same thing.
And she had some funny moments too.
She did great.
When she told 3PO to get that. So she had some nice one-liners and things in there too. So yeah,
Carrie
she did a
Fisher
great job.
did great. She did
Definitely
great.
Agree on
I wanted to throw that in just in case we didn't get to Leia, but yeah, Kylo was interesting in the sense
Very interesting, yeah.
I didn't think he would be redeemed after 7. I thought he was going to be a mirror of Vader a little bit.
I thought he was going to be full on, prove to Snoke.
Me too.
I'm the apprentice.
I'm a worthy apprentice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be pushing hard for that, and you'd maybe see... maybe a lack of a better word, but some more of a sort of badass on film.
A dark side.
Yeah. Like you just said, kind of like Darth Vader, right?
Yeah, and so at one point too, I did worry a bit. Those Force connections between him and Rey were really well done.
Yeah, have we seen anything like that before, in book or movie or anything like that?
I'm trying to think in book, but I'm not sure. Definitely not on screen unless something's just escaping me completely where people were having a conversation like that. I would have to think about it a bit more, but those scenes were fascinating. I was a bit worried. Although I liked where Kylo was going, I was buying into everything that was being shown. I did worry a bit that, he turned on Snoke a little bit easy. Is he just going to go with Rey And then with the Resistance at this point, I mean...
he didn't really know where he was going, I guess.
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, and it was funny, because Rey was even just like, don't do this, Kylo. And then I was kind of like, oh, thank God, please do this, Kylo. Like, don't just go completely to the light, but he has his reasoning. He is big, and he said it multiple times, let the past die.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if his just natural inclination is to push everyone away. Maybe the Luke aspect of him just completely tarnished him for good. He can't trust anybody. But yeah, and his wanting Rey to join him was really well done as well.
For sure. Yeah, and those scenes were pretty chilling.
The ones where they talked to each other? Or?
Even the ones with Snoke.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Even at the beginning and... the one where he ends up killing Snoke for me. Like when Snoke was sort of talking down to him as his apprentice. Those were some really cool scenes.
And just staying on cool Kylo scenes, the one with Luke. Like where Luke sees the darkness in him, stands over him.
Yeah.
And then I like that Luke came to his senses. But still, in the end it was, and Luke says it, Luke is the one that failed Kylo. Yeah. That's great. I wasn't expecting that. I thought neither. Kylo was the one. Like Luke even tells Leia it wasn't Snoke, it was me. So Kylo, I'm interested to see. You made a great point. You said what happens with the Knights of Ren. I thought hopefully maybe we would get a little bit about the Knights of Ren, but maybe in 9 now at this point.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be. Yeah, I guess when Luke sort of mentions that he took some students with him after he ends up leaving the school, you kind of wonder, it sort of triggered in my mind, well, where are those students now? That seems like a pretty powerful little group he's got there.
Yeah, maybe that will be. That would be really cool.
I think that would be interesting.
Actually, that's a really good point, because imagine 9 is going to need something for me. I don't know if Kylo carries 9 as the main antagonist. Like, for example... The First Order was shown, and maybe we'll bring some of that up, shown to be a little bit weaker than I was hoping for. We get told the opening crawl was really good, where basically putting it out there that the First Order was militarily taking over sectors of the galaxy, but it doesn't come across as that powerful and that scary after this.
Yeah.
I mean, they almost take out the Resistance. They whittle them down to a few hundred survivors, maybe even less by the end, but... I don't know. I think I might need... How many times now have we seen Rey foil Kylo?
Yeah, more than enough.
It seems like she has his number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It seems like she's gone up another level even from the end of this. From even the Snoke death scene to the ending of the film. It seemed like Rey took an even bigger step. And she's kind of got the better end of the deal with Kylo this whole time. So... Imagine if they do take like Knights of Ren.
I think that would make a really
and instead of more
antagonist.
Of it First Order, it's First Order, but more so this group of Knights of Ren.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
I think that would be really interesting, and kind of like what you said too with the First Order. Not really looking as powerful as maybe we might have liked. We've only really seen them kind of in their own little bubble.
Yeah.
Butting heads with the Resistance.
When really it's movies. Made out to be much larger.
Yeah, like you just said in that crawl, the military takeover. But we haven't really seen too much of that, I don't think.
I wish we had more space battle scenes from that side of things. It could have been a short 1 minute, just quick shots from planet to planet of the First Order attacking.
Exactly. That
or
would
even
be cool.
Space battles with the Resistance or maybe the New Republic at some point. But
which I think maybe you got a little bit of that in Rogue One, if I remember correctly. It kind of show them kind of moving from planet to planet, and you kind of saw them flexing a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely got the jump. I would have liked that. Something like that where you went to jump back and forth. Actually, I think I still have to give the nod to the Rogue One space battle, the Battle of Scarif, but... Nonetheless, the opening was decent space battle wise, but I think I would have wanted to see a little bit more. The Resistance just wasn't there. They're not a big powerhouse military fleet.
For sure.
They're what they are. They're a resistance. They're a rebellion. So you don't have two. It's not Clone Wars. You don't have Republic and Separatists going after each other. You have this little rebel outgroup
faction.
Yeah, exactly. So. I think that was good. We'll have to see where they go. Kylo will be speculation abound over the next couple of weeks, but
yeah, you're right. There were so many things that we were talking about where Kylo could go, and though it didn't really go down the path we really thought, I thought they did a good job with sort of combining all the different parts that they ended up putting into the movie.
It's still tough for me to put my finger on where exactly he is. Mm-hmm. You know, like he kills Snoke.
One scene he's killing Snoke, the other one he's letting Leia, killing Leia, exactly. And, you know, the other TIE fighter shooting. So,
and one time, like he's having what seems to be a legitimate connection with Rey. Yeah, you know. And then another one, he's having 20 ATM-6s firing on what turned out to be not a real Luke Skywalker, but nonetheless. So Kylo's fascinating. Yeah. Really like what they did with Kylo. Adam Driver, the actor of Kylo, really good. Yeah. All the acting was good, I thought, here, but...
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. He grew on me. Yeah. I remember the first one, I remember even saying to you, like, I didn't know, like when he took off that mask, that wasn't what I was expecting. Yeah. It was almost kind of like a pretty boy Vader type thing. But
with the locks.
Exactly, exactly, the hair. But in this one, you know, I think he did a really good job as well. Yeah, I thought he did a really good job.
Let's quickly touch on Rey, perhaps the star of the show. I kind of thought that she would go to Acto, not get what she needed out of Luke, and then try to go her own. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if we would actually get her having a legitimate confrontation with Snoke in the same throne room as she was in. But Rey, I thought, again, a really good arc. I think the main takeaway for her is that she doesn't need to be a Jedi Master. Mm-hmm. She doesn't even need to be a Jedi, quite frankly. I don't know if they explained why she was so powerful, but again, I don't think we need it. Mm-hmm. This thing with Luke and Yoda, I love that scene. She had whatever she had already, and it's enough. And she doesn't need to... This is why I love the Yoda scenes, too. She never needed to look into 1,000-year-old Jedi texts. Exactly. Even Luke didn't. That was the nice thing about destroying them, and the Jedi not needing them. Mm-hmm. So, Rey, I mean, people have speculated a lot about her parents. I don't know if we can trust Kylo as the source of who her parents were. But what do you say? Junk dealers?
Yeah, they're alcoholics.
Yeah, and traded her in for drugs, or I can't forget exactly. But I don't know. We'll see. That could very well be the case. Yeah. To be honest, I'm not really too concerned about who Rey's parents are at this point.
Well, even with that vision, you know, with the parents. Oh, yeah. And then she ended up the flashback or whatever that was. Yeah. We didn't really learn anything.
With the mirrors?
Yeah, with the mirror.
Yeah, and it was just her.
It was just her. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of interesting, too. Yeah. So we really don't know who the parents are, I guess.
I get the sense that it doesn't matter.
No.
That they're not... I love the line Kylo had. Like, you don't have any part of this story, and yet here you are. Yeah. Like, I'm a Skywalker. I should be here. Yeah. But you're... I mean, maybe what he said about her parents was true, but nonetheless, I think it makes perfect sense that she doesn't have this, super complicated past and lineage from parents. So, really, like, Daisy Ridley's just great.
Yeah, she did a really good job.
There was a lot of like cute scenes with the Porgs and the caretakers on Acto.
That was some really funny stuff.
I think if I could point to one thing that I wanted a bit more from Luke and Rey as well, but just a little bit more training scenes.
I think that would have been good.
They didn't have to go pure like Luke and Yoda, where Luke was like on her back. Yeah. Like they were that close where he's guiding her. He just showed her what she needed to know. Yeah. She didn't know anything about the Force, and then he showed her what it was.
Yeah, and maybe that was enough.
That I think it was enough. I would have liked maybe to see a bit more lightsaber training. Yeah, we were talking about this too. I don't think you saw a lot of it in episode 5 either. Like Luke legitimately learning lightsaber training. The key there was getting Luke in the right frame of mind to go face Vader. And then in this one too, it was Luke getting Rey in the right frame of mind.
Exactly.
So, well done. Daisy Ridley's awesome. She like. The protagonist side is strong going into episode 9. Yeah, I'm a little bit more worried about the antagonist, the First Order, and a Snokeless Kylo Ren Supreme Leader this time. So,
and you know what I liked about Rey that I'm kind of just thinking about right now? She didn't dominate the screen, really. She wasn't in a ton of scenes, and she didn't really need to, but I felt like every scene she was in was important, or mattered. Or at least it was special in some way. Like, a lot of her scenes were with Luke. And all of those were interesting to me. She had scenes with Kylo and with Snoke. Those were, of course, very interesting.
Yeah,
At
that's a
the
good
end,
point.
she showed up. She didn't really. It was more of a Kylo and Luke thing.
That's a
at
good
the
point.
end, and even Poe and Finn and Rose and all of them.
Yeah.
And then she showed up, so she didn't really dominate the screen, but I felt her scenes were very important to
That's
the
a
movie.
good point.
So they mattered when she showed up.
Yeah.
and it meant something. So that was really good. So I liked how they did.
Great point. Great point. Again, just touching on Leia, amazing.
Yeah.
Love the Leia scenes. She was really like the general. Like
Yeah,
almost,
she was.
We just watched Empire Strikes Back. It was episode 5.
Yeah.
It was Empire Strikes Back Leia, which I loved. You weren't familiar with Holdo.
No, I wasn't.
Laura Dern's character.
No.
Purple hair. She, see, I have reading Leia, Princess of Alderaan. I was not buying the whole traitor.
Yeah.
Like the road that Poe was going down with Amy Lynn Holdo, but so I knew pretty much how it was going to pan out. What did you think? Would you think she was going down the traitor role, or?
I didn't. No.
Okay.
Some part of me kind of thought maybe a little bit at the beginning, but I think as we kind of went further and further down the road, it seemed like she had a plan.
Yeah.
It seemed like she had a plan, but there were some compelling scenes that made you kind of think that maybe this sort of like older person within the Resistance who maybe was kind of pulling the strings a little bit or wanted some power over the other people.
What did you think too? Because I thought that, I mean, at first I was just like, what, a bit blown away, but the Princess Leia surviving in space and then like floating back down to...
I didn't like it.
You thought it was a little...
I thought it was
a
little
weird.
cheesy.
Okay.
I have to admit that was sort of a little over the top for me.
Well, I'm just trying to think too how many times it's actually happened. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen a... See, the thing was too is Leia really used her force like abilities in this one.
Yeah,
like that was the most in your face one where she is able to survive in space and then use the force to go back down to the ship, but
and then was unconscious.
Yeah.
So yeah, that didn't really make too much sense for me, but
yeah, she kind of did what she could there with the force. But even just her feeling through the force. If you've read Star Wars Bloodline, there's a lot of that in the novel where Luke tells her basically knows how to tap in and feel things, but with Kylo could feel him when he was in the TIE silencer. Not enough TIE silencer with Kylo. Yeah. Not enough First Order ships. That Dreadnought went a little bit too easy. But nonetheless, felt when Luke died.
Yeah.
She felt a lot.
She did, yeah.
You know, so she could feel and use those Skywalker Force abilities in a lot of cool ways. But yeah, I thought she did great.
Even when she was unconscious and Luke.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right. Yeah, she did have a lot of interesting scenes like that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. She's not like that's not her thing, but it's there.
But and they don't kind of throw it in your face, but they do it kind of subtly like that.
I liked it too. Maybe we'll just go through quickly with Finn, Poe, and Rose. I thought it was all very good.
To be honest, I thought all three were really good.
Yeah.
I liked all three in that movie.
Did you like Finn and Poe more in this one than in Episode 7?
Yes.
And Poe especially,
Poe a lot more than in Episode 7.
Poe had a good role, a much larger role in this film.
I thought Poe was really good.
That's cool. Yeah. Poe's a great character. Ace starfighter pilot, but still, he's committed. Yeah. I like his gumption.
Exactly.
That's why it played off so well with Holdo.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to do the right thing, and even she's just like, I like this one.
Exactly.
Like you can tell he's trying to do the right thing. Exactly. I like Poe. I think this was a better showing for Poe than Episode 7 for sure.
Absolutely.
But I also think it was much better for Finn.
So do I.
Some people might argue otherwise. A lot of people liked Finn in Episode 7. Not to say that I didn't like Finn in Episode 7, but I thought that him being on his own side mission away from Rey this time around gave him a much better... He was he was almost, Rose was great,
Yeah.
but he was kind of the lead of that tandem,
for
of
sure.
that pair.
And he had a lot of great scenes.
He did great, yeah.
Like at the end, going towards the big cannon.
Yes,
that scene, a memorable scene. That was great.
I like how they just threw out just threw it out there. Yeah, that's a miniaturized Death Star tech.
Oh, is that what they said?
I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
Which I sit back and just like, oh, cool, miniaturized.
I didn't quite pick up on that.
Okay, did he say Death Star tech or Star Destroyer tech? I might be mixing it up, but because it didn't it didn't look like that Ray had a kyber crystal in it, unless it maybe just wasn't the typical green. But nonetheless, I'm pretty sure he said miniaturized Death Star tech.
See, in my casual Star Wars fandom, I literally thought it was like a battering ram.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even expect like a gun or something like that until it started like heating up.
That's See, I was picking up on that. Is that a
bear
kyber
with
crystal?
me, everyone.
Well, the cool thing is, now that you've mentioned that was an awesome scene. And Rose swoops in.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been fitting if that was the end for Rose.
I did too.
I thought
it was.
Yeah, me too.
I 100% thought it was, and I thought that was a great scene if it would have been.
I liked Rose. She was a great new character this time around.
Yeah.
It wasn't crowbarred in. She had the perfect in. It was her sister on the bomber that went down, and then she was there, and you meet her. It's hard not to like her. The first time you're introduced, she's there crying.
I know.
And she was very funny. This movie had maybe perhaps too much with the First Order comedy-wise, but where it was used, it was perfect.
Yeah.
The funniest one that stands out was probably the Poe call to Hux.
At the beginning. Yeah, that was really good.
Hello? It's like, this is Hux.
We're both really big Hux fans. We just find him hilarious.
Rian Johnson gave Hux the right voice, I feel. Maybe a little, because I like Hux, and you almost need him to be a little bit scarier, I guess, on the side of the First Order, but I like Hux as just so much as a character.
He's just kind of like what you said. I think you summed him up when we were talking about it a little bit earlier. He's kind of like that cowardly heel.
Yeah.
And that's always an interesting, kind of funny character.
Yeah, he was great. But I thought those three, Hux, let's say if you put them into sort of the next layer of characters, the next tier, if you had Finn, Poe, Rose, and Hux.
All great.
All really good.
I thought all really good. Right from the beginning. You had mentioned Rose, but I stayed spoiler free pretty much. I only watched the first or the two trailers.
The teaser and then the trailer.
The teaser and then the trailer. So I hadn't even seen Rose before or knew about Rose. You might have mentioned the character. So I didn't really know anything about that character, but when I saw it playing out in front of me, I thought a great character.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning. So yeah, I thought they were really good.
The one kind of weird point, and that's maybe we'll talk. We'll start wrapping up here. I see that we're at 42 minutes, so maybe we'll start. Yeah, we could talk about it literally.
There's so much to talk about.
But the DJ character, the Benicio del Toro on Canto Bight, that was probably, if we're going to point out things that were maybe not our favorites, that character was a bit off.
Yeah.
Just on a character perspective. It's like, okay, that whole side mission to Canto Bight kind of fell apart a little bit in some places too, I think.
You could see what they were going for in that character, like some kind of eccentric, like coder, cracker, whatever they were trying to go for.
Which had a hilarious Maz cameo too.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about that. So you could kind of see what they're going. They might have just turned it up a little bit too much.
Well, the thing is too, is even the character part, which I definitely know what you mean, but I thought that he was going to do like the old Han Solo trick where, okay, he's got his own ambitions, but he does this for the money. But then at the end of the day, he comes back and helps Finn and Rose. But he turned them over to the First Order, told them that it was a new deal, and then that was it. He's gone. You never see him again.
Exactly.
I thought he was going to be in the ATST.
So did I.
And not BB-8.
I thought the exact same as you did.
Because he was a pretty interesting character up until that point. And then he's just, he is bad. Now we know why he was in jail, like in prison on Canto Bight.
Maybe that's what left a little bit of a sour taste on the character for us.
Yeah.
Because up until that point or to the end, I didn't really think it was all that odd. He was kind of almost like like I said before, an eccentric character that was sort of going to break in and help.
He was
them
almost
out.
funny. Like the character was good up until that point.
Yeah, he had some funny moments, but then it just kind of ended abruptly, and he just kind of leaves.
Yeah,
and then it didn't really go anywhere from there.
I would have loved it if he would have came back and helped them, but let's throw it out quick. Phasma, small role, but it looks like she's not coming back now for episode 9.
Yeah, not much really to say for me.
See, I've read for you. It's probably like you've only had such short introductions to Phasma now at this point, like with the episode 7 and episode 8. But having read Phasma, like the novel Phasma, having seen some of the comics now at this point, she's an interesting character. Just never makes it to the big screen.
Yeah,
and she's a force to be reckoned with. I'm not saying it was easy because I did have to ask you, like, how exactly did Finn take her out again? It wasn't directly in hand-to-hand combat, but she's a force. I mean, if you read Phasma, she owns Cardinal, a really good First Order, trainer as well. But
maybe saying meaningless is a little shouldn't be too harsh. But yeah, I think you kind of summed it up there. I mean, I'm only seeing her from episode 7 and 8, and how much screen time is there?
Not much.
Not
and this
a lot
one,
at all.
this one was almost less than episode 7.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it might have. Yeah, it was very close. Episode 7 wasn't even that much.
No,
when I rewatched it last week, I was shocked that she had such few scenes.
I guess this one she had the whole execution aspect, so that kind of took up some screen time. But yeah, I don't know unless she survived how much, which is Phasma's MO. She's a survivor, so
yeah.
I like how they pulled the Darth Vader from season 2 finale of Rebels and lost a bit of the helmet. Yeah, so that was good. Helmet. Phasma, we'll see. Anything else we gotta? The one thing I will say is I speculated for a long time thinking, I hope we get flashbacks. I only need one, and we got one. We got the Ben and Luke turn. Mm-hmm. The reason why they turned on each other. I love that. That was great. I love that flashback scene. Is there anything else we need to say? I guess just overall, maybe the one thing that we were laughing at a little bit, it did seem like the main plot device for the episode 8 was like a very slow speed ship chase.
Yeah, they had that huge ship with all those guns.
The Supremacy, which was great, which unfortunately got destroyed. It seems like every major super weapon now the First Order has. Starkiller base goes, Supremacy goes in a very cool way though. I love that.
Yeah, that was interesting. But you would assume that the Supremacy would have at least a few guns or cannons on it, right? Yeah. I mean, you would think maybe they could do some damage to a ship that was trying to get away from them. Maybe not have to wait until the ship, I don't know, runs out of gas.
Yeah, that's right. And and I don't know how much those shields are. Like, that could take every shot. So that was kind of funny, like if you break it down to that respect.
And it was funny how they had that one shot. At least it was funny to me, but it kind of, you saw like sort of that animation of the ship running out of gas and falling into like sort of their that red sort of perimeter, and that meant that they could attack it now. That was sort of funny.
It's like there goes the medical frigate. I forget what the second ship was, maybe some Corvette, but it's just kind of funny. But it's just like, why don't you just like, don't you have any faster ships? Why don't you just go attack it with TIE fighters?
Exactly. In the first one they were blowing planets up.
Yeah.
In this one they can't even.
That's true.
So that was a little odd, but maybe we're nitpicking a little bit.
Yeah, if you break it down, the acting at least saved it on both sides. But Canto Bite, maybe for me, a little bit. I thought that was going to be more important. It was cool because you did get that song and feel from like Jabba's palace.
Even I know it picked up on that. Yeah. So that was interesting.
So that was cool that way. I mean, it's always fun to look at like those. I mean, it wasn't a cantina level, but just interesting little spots within the galaxy. So I don't know. I think that's our thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm still blown away.
Maybe one last one. I think, just because I think it's important for what you said, because when you said it kind of hit home with me that the galaxy felt a little bit small.
Oh, yes.
It was almost like, again, that own little bubble.
Yeah, it did feel a little bit small when otherwise it shouldn't. And we were thinking about, I kind of was asking you too, like, do you think it's like they were, Luke and Rey are on Acto and, the Supremacy wherever it was, but then literally they're right over top of Crate chasing each other the whole time. You're on Canto Bite, which I still don't know where it is.
Yeah.
I should have looked before because I don't know. I've been dying to know where it is. At first I thought maybe they were in the unknown regions, but yeah, I don't know. it just felt like if you take Empire Strikes Back, you only get a few planets and almost the same thing. Like Strikes Back is very similar. You have Hoth, then you have Luke on Dagobah, and then the Millennium Falcon with Han, Leia, and Chewie. But then they all converge on Bespin. I don't know. It just felt a little bit smaller.
I think when you think Star Wars, you think of all these different galaxies, solar system, planets.
Maybe it's like my Clone Wars coming in like a whole galaxy-wide conflict, and then this one was just a snapshot, which all Star Wars movies are, but
yeah,
it's just the feeling more than anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that does it.
Yeah, I think so too. Excellent movie. I went in with pretty high expectations, not gonna lie. Me too. And I'd say it surpassed them in a lot of ways.
Yeah, episode 7 or
episode 8.
The surpassed 7 though, or
surpassed my expectations.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
absolutely. See, I had really high expectations. I'm not even gonna try to rank it at this point. To say it's better than 7 is a bit unfair right now too. So I'm gonna sit back. I will say though, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is the most fun I've had with a Star Wars movie so far. There was so much unexpected too that I'm just gonna have to take a night and just think about it and unravel everything.
And definitely gonna have to rewatch.
I'll have to see it again.
It'll take at least 2.
This was one you definitely have to see again. I miss little things here and there. Like some of the times I was having to like really listen intently to what Yoda and Luke were saying to each other, just because it was such a like shocking moment that we're getting Force Ghost Yoda. So yeah, this will definitely have to be one that I watch again. But let's stop there. I think I'm gonna keep the whole thing and leave this more of like a review and discussion. That way, in case anybody wants to post anything in the comments section down below, I'll definitely respond. And we can discuss everything that we enjoyed, maybe didn't enjoy so much with episode 8 here. It's amazing that it's come and gone.
I know.
What a year.
One left in the trilogy.
It seems like we just saw episode 7.
Yeah.
Well, let's end there. Again, I can't thank my brother enough. 9 Star Wars films now for us under our belt. Again, Tio, this one was a lot of fun. Those 97 though, it was a lot of fun too. This was great. Again, I can't thank you guys enough for all of the messages too. This is the nice part for me now. We'll do a live discussion on Sunday, and getting to discuss it is really going to be the high point of this episode 8 as well. We'll stop there. Again, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Don't hesitate to let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you guys all had a really great time with your episode 8 experiences. We'll stop there. Have a great night, everyone, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.